We are 11 races into the 2025 Wawa Cup Series, and in those 11 races, we have had 11 different winners. A very competitive season in terms of the winner's circle, and we come to one of the most competitive racetracks on the circuit, the Talladega Superspeedway. We are here for the 12th race of the season. Will we get winner number 12 here today, or will we see our first two-time winner of the season? Both possibilities are very possible here, and anything is possible around this 2 2/3 mile superspeedway in Talladega, Alabama. It's the Mountain Dew 500, race 12 of the season. The second half of the regular season begins today here in the 2025 Wawa Cup Series. Hello everybody, this is AG here, and welcome to the Talladega Superspeedway. We are here for race number 12 of the season, and it's Talladega Superspeedway. Any one of these 42 drivers can go to victory lane here today. Easily the most competitive racetrack and most competitive race that we see all year round here in the Wawa Cup Series, and today's race is going to be very, very fascinating, and already some fascinating faces up front to start this race. Our 2023 champion of Drew Webb winning the pole, and then uncharted driver and only her second start of the season, Dylan Matthews there for Titan Fury Racing on the outside pole. But these guys are going to cycle through quite a bit throughout this race, and of course the big wild card is the big one, and the wrecks that we will more likely see at some point in this race, which then leads to lap traffic, which makes this whole race quite an interesting one each and every year. Join alongside Nathan Stapleton and Matt Tuck for the call of today's race here from Talladega Superspeedway. Nathan, I'm going to start off with you. Really doesn't matter where you start, but how do you get yourself into position near the end of this race to get to victory lane here at the Talladega Superspeedway?
Well, the simple way is doing step one, survive to the end, survive the carnage, hope the car survives with not having any mechanical issues, and being in the lead pack at the end of the race and make the move at the right time. It's going to be interesting if the lanes have any effect in the racing or if it will be a cycle race, but that's all you have to really do. Survive the big one, hope that the car survives, and make the move at the right time at the end, and you could win at Talladega.
And Matt, of course, this is not necessarily a favorite racetrack for you guys at Grattan Racing Technologies, but your driver, Drew Webb, there with Grattan Autosport officially starting on the pole position for this race. What does he need to do to get this race victory from the pole position here in 47 laps at Talladega?
Good luck to him. I hope it works out for him and he could get his second win of the season. I think he's going to have a very hard time. I mean, it's Talladega. Winning from the pole is very hard to do, and I happen to know that these cars aren't really built for this type of racing, but we will see. It's a long race. If there's a giant one and he's not in it and it keeps his car clean, I mean, anybody could win it, but he'll just have to keep his fenders clean and hope for... He's going to need some chaos today, I think, to have a shot to win this race.
And we'll have to see how much chaos we'll get in this race. This race has seen very different results in the past. We have seen very close finishes. We have seen lap traffic really get in the way in some races here before. Who knows how it's all going to go down here for 47 laps at Talladega. But we do know we have a very great championship battle, and we're halfway through the regular season. Of course, next week we're going to show you guys the whole grid and figure out how many points these guys are off from the cut line and kind of flesh it all out, but we're just going to show you the regular points for now. Travis Crampton, still the points leader. I know you like that, Nathan. He's 27 points ahead of our Bristol winner of Laura Chung. Ludovic Schratt still without a race victory this season, but a runner-up finish last week at Rockingham. She is 35 points behind. Tanner Parton, 46 points behind. A great run for you guys at NS Racing there, Nathan. And Duncan Ward is 49 points behind. And then right around that cutoff there, you see Avery Alfred had a great run last week. So did Daniel Paulus Jr. Both got top 5 runs in that race. They're right there on the cutoff. Daniel Paulus Jr. ahead of Blaine Keys, who arguably Blaine Keys should be coming into this race, 2 straight wins in a row. Had a very good car at Bristol, blew an engine there, and then the tire strategy did not play into his favor after he led the most laps in that Cheerwine 400. But he is only 11 points behind that cutoff coming into this race, so we'll have to see if he can get a good run in this one and find his way to victory lane. His teammate Thomas Troxel won this race a year ago in a Pacific Racing car, so we'll have to see if that ends up being the case for Blaine Keys here today, looking to get his first win in this Wawa Cup Series season. Of course, it's Drew Webb starting on the pole position alongside Dylan Matthews in the 05, Angel Gutierrez and Blaine Keys there in row number 2, Avery Alford and Eric Monaco, our Daytona 500 champion, there in row 3, LJ Semedo and Jesse Turner in row number 4, and Philip Torres, Bruno Diacmo in row 5. We'll go through most of the field here in just a moment. Let's go ahead and get these guys to roll off here from the Talladega Superspeedway. And we're ready to get these guys to roll off here. Nathan and then Matt. Who do you guys think's going to victory lane here today in this Mountain Dew 500 at Talladega?
Well, Talladega Superspeedway, one of, if not the biggest wild cards all year long in the Wawa Cup Series. However, I think it's not going to be a surprise winner here today. I think it'll be someone that's been inside the top 10 a lot this season. And I'm going to go with someone that I know very well, who's very good with the ratings. Recently won at Darlington in the JBL Cup Series, giving out St. Latale to get his first win in the Wawa Cup Series here today.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with a guy. I mean, he was kind of a legend a few weeks ago. He parked his car on the pit road at Homestead because it was so bad. And he's gonna come back here this week. Give me Philip Torres in the 52. He is going to secure this victory here today.
And you know what? Ironically, those are actually two very good picks for this win today. And I think those are two teams you may not necessarily see as much of a strength out of them at other racetracks, but here at Talladega, they may find themselves a little bit closer to the front. And I think it is absolutely a great opportunity for Philip Torres and Alex Sabatale. Hey, Sabatale's had a pretty solid year. He's actually 8th in the standings. He's in the chase right now in the number 61. He's been doing a great job, and he can definitely boost himself with that today. Number 90 machine, by the way, that is Matt Black in that ride, and then Chris Reynolds is in the 42 for the hot seaters here today. And we got some interesting drivers in the back of the field, like Ludovic Charette, Nicholas Samedeo, Isaac Nichols, Logan Williams are points leader. Travis Crampton got stuck behind Trey Bartow when he blew up in qualifying and never drove around him. So he gets to start 40th or 39th here today, and of course our defending Talladega winner, Thomas Troxel, starts 42nd, so who knows how it's going to go down. But I do know it's Talladega. It's a wild one, and we only come here once now in the Cup Series, and that is for a good reason. But here we are here today at the end of April. It's the Mountain Dew 500. Drew Webb and Dylan Matthews. This was 2 years ago. That would definitely be a very stout front row. Haven't had the best of seasons so far, though Drew does have a race victory. We'll see what he can do with this one here. Looking to get his second win of the season. It's Talladega. We're green flag racing on the longest oval in the Wawa Cup Series. Let's see who gets it done in 47 laps. Well, Drew Webb did an excellent job on the first lap of this race, and he is going to lead lap number 1 here at Talladega. A great run for him right there. Here comes LJ Semedo. His only win on the channel came in the Daytona 500 last year, and we'll have to see if he can back that up here today in this Mountain Dew 500. Philip Torres, Matt Black, Nathan Smith, and Duncan Ward on the inside lane. Dylan Matthews slipped back on the outside, but there's going to be plenty of an opportunity for them to find their way back to the inside, assuming that they do not have an accident at some point throughout the race. Here comes Matt Black, who won the Lenovo Pro Series race here back in December. Running there for Appalachian Motorsports, got a great opportunity here today. And LJ Semedo and Philip Torres pulling away right there, and Semedo looks to lead lap number 2.
Well, Matt's pick is all the way up to the front. I think we're going to see this all day long, with a lot of drivers making some splashes up towards the front. But I do think the lanes are going to play into a little bit of a factor, as you'll see in the top two of a former Daytona 500 champion of LJ Smedo out front, and he is pulling away in almost a little bit of a two-car tandem. Oh my goodness, what a move, what a block from the seal sits right there, and here we go side by side for the race lead already between Philip Torres and LJ Smedo.
Well, your pick's doing pretty well there, Matt, and Philip Torres looking to get the race lead, get a bonus point towards the championship for leading a lap. And here comes Nathan Smith, Kirsten Bell, Brad Stover, Brian Webb. We're just going to see a who's who of drivers up front in this race today. And we're going to see a little four wide, maybe. Not quite. Brad Stover is going to slot it in right there. Jack Haas moving his way up in the 39. You got Daniel Paulus Jr. there as well. A couple of guys who are already off the pace a little bit in the back. Nicholas Samadillo, again with what looks to be an issue. I'm not entirely sure what the issue might be, but he's already 2.5 seconds off. And Rogal Doran, winner of this race 2 years ago, also in the back of the field. I don't exactly know if something happened to those guys that caused them to slip back right there, but a lot of our stronger drivers, Ladovic Charette, Blaine Keys, Andrew Miller, last week's winners back here, Thomas Troxel, Tanner Barton, all at the back of the field right now here. And this race and this racetrack and these super speedway races in general tend to just completely flip the field. And that's something that we see a lot in the Valvoline 400, especially once we get to it later on in the season. But these ratings are as built up as much as they ever have been here for this Talladega race with that range that we did at the beginning of the season. So there's definitely a wide differential between some of these drivers in this field, and it's going to be a very interesting race considering that. We're only 5 laps in. Brad Stover's out front. Got Jack Haas. Here comes Zachary Fitzwater still looking. You know, Fitzwater is also looking for win number 30. We haven't talked about it with Fitzy too much because he has not been up front as often as Blaine and Samadillo, but he's got an opportunity at win number 30 here today. We'll have to see if he can do so in that 99. Here comes Roberto Crown Jr., who almost won here last year. His teammate is Justin Zeidel right behind them there, and they're moving their way through the field. And how about this top 5 right now? Like I said, a who's who of the drivers who's going to be up front in this race, and that is exactly the case right now here in this Mountain Dew 500.
Yeah, I mean, we've known for the past few years, I would say really since late in the 2023 season, there are admittedly some of these top teams do not prioritize development. That helps them here on the super speedways of Talladega and Daytona, and we really see that, like you said, in the summer race and the Valvoline 400. So you see some of these teams are not quite as up to par on other tracks. Jacoan's up front here, Racing Motorsports. I know they can have some pace sometimes, but I mean, Aaron Abel's guys do a tremendous job building race cars for this racetrack. Oh, something happened. What happened?
Yeah, Eric Monaco, LJ Semedo there. That's a bit tight there.
Boys.
2 past Daytona 500 champions. Bernardo de Oliveira on the inside. Is this going to be the moment? It is. Hard in the wall. No. Upside down goes LJ Semedo. And a few of these guys in the back of the field getting caught up. Semedo's still upside down. Jared Martin's torn up. Philip Torres, and a hard hit there. Dylan Matthews into her teammate of LJ Semedo. Laura Chung is destroyed. Bernardo de Oliveira, Rogal Dorn is done for the day. Eric Monaco is also done for the day. And that was what we were fearing right there, the 4 wide. It just doesn't work, and that's the trouble spot there. Andrew Miller, I think he got out of that one, but Bruno Diacomo's got some damage. Oh no, we had another one.
No.
On the cooldown lap, they ended up wrecking. And somebody was upside down there. Blaine Keys has damage. Daniel Paulus Jr. as well in the 54. I think Duncan Ward's got damage from the first incident. Isaac Nichols, and that's what we all fear. That's what we all thought might happen here today. And a lot of guys getting caught up in accidents here on lap number 7 here at Talladega.
And we have 9 cars left with no damage?
We have a little bit more than that. We have a little bit more than that.
There's not many. There's not many.
There's not many at all. That was huge. The first one, and then especially the second one, took out a ton of cars here at Talladega.
Not exactly what we wanted to see this early on here at Talladega, but as much as I hate to say it, it's something we almost expected to see at this point in the race. Travis Crampton coming down with Kirsten Bell and these guys. I don't know if they got caught up in anything, but topping off on fuel, maybe getting some tires here. They do not have to pit in this race. It is not a requirement. But some of these guys just want to make sure that they are good to go. And the 98 of Travis Crampton just topping off there. It's really not going to be too... Oh, you got to be careful not to wreck it on the pit lane. Getting in the Bernardo de Oliveira there. He's not the only one who has done that so far in this race. Well, a lot of guys and a lot of strong drivers caught up, especially in the second accident. Duncan Ward, Kirsten Bell, Ludovic Charette got a piece of that one. Logan Williams in the 95. A lot of these guys will still be able to continue, but they're not going to be up to pace, and that's going to make it very interesting for the rest of the drivers in this field, and it's going to be a very interesting race from here on out. Let's go ahead and see what happened to bring out the first caution of the day here in the Mountain Dew 500. We get back to racing here at the Talladega Superspeedway. Well, we knew this was going to be an issue. 4 wide off the exit of turn 4. Bernardo de Oliveira, Eric Monaco, LJ Semedo, Logan Williams, and Duncan Ward, and this is just the first wreck. Laura Chung nowhere to go. Winner 2 weeks ago at Bristol, and LJ going upside down. Not at all what he wanted. One of the better opportunities for LJ to go to victory lane here in the Wawa Cup Series, and that is not going to happen. Jared Martin got a piece of that one as well. And LJ going flipping in that 71 machine there. Bruno Diacomo, Matt Black, Drew Webb in the back there. Andrew Miller, I think, drove away from this one in the 86 machine. Good job for last week's winner. Kind of hard to tell what's going on. So much smoke right there. Roll Dorn going right into Dylan Matthews and LJ Semedo right there. And then Philip Torres also caught up in this one in the 52. That's another opportunity for him to win this race. And it's an opportunity for a lot of these guys. And then what did they do up here? What on earth did they even... Oh, boy.
And then... Oh, no.
Yeah. Travis Crampton, Zachary Fitzwater, and Isaac Nichols, they found themselves in a 4-wide situation. Oh, that's why.
Oh, that's bad.
That
is really
that
bad.
ain't it, Chief.
Oh, Fitzy, what are... Okay.
Yeah. So Zachary Fitzwater pushing down on Isaac Nichols and Travis Crampton, and there's just no recovering from this one. They're not going to be able to financially recover from this one. Wow. Brian Webb and Trey Bartow just barely avoided this one. They saw the whole life flash before their eyes, and then it's Stover, Jack Haas in the 39. Kirsten Bell got a piece of that one. Daniel Paulus Jr. in the 54. Troxley got a slight piece of that one there. Avery Alford, Ludovic Charette came down. Jesse Turner, Duncan Ward. Whoa, that 51 got popped up. And then Blaine just arc-braked in the Jesse Turner right there. What's going to be worse, guys? This race or what we're going to see in the ARCA race later today? Because I don't know.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Oh, no.
We're basically going to watch an ARCA race now, so let's go.
We'll have to see how it ends up shaking out, but lap traffic going to be an issue here, and it's definitely going to be a lot of drivers knocked out of this one here from the Talladega Superspeedway, including guys like Jesse Turner, Blaine Keys, Daniel Paulus Jr., Isaac Nichols. Yeah, a lot of the better drivers getting caught up in wrecks here. Tough break for all those guys involved. But that's just the nature of Talladega.
Well, you're going to watch some 4 wide here. And, I mean, checking the lap count, I don't have it up in front of me, but was this necessary? Probably not. But the Rut Racing Torpedoes strike there. And then we're going to go up here. Robert Dorn just said, I'm done with this. And then, Fitzy and Crampton? Buddies, what are we... I'm not really sure what we were doing. And then everybody comes piling down the racetrack, and then Blaine Keys just said, I can ARCA break this. Watch me.
Look at Nicholas
and
there.
that is...
Look at what Nicholas did.
Nicholas was just like, I'm going to watch... He's like, I'm going to watch this
I'm not
all
sure if there's
unfold.
something still wrong with that car because he was a bit off the pace, but he actually drove through that pretty well. Yeah, a lot of our stronger drivers getting caught up in that one, unfortunately. And it's going to make an interesting race. We're still going to have about 18 or so guys who do not have damage, who are going to be on the lead lap here. But we're going to have some guys who are going to be a lap down and on the tail end of the lead lap who are going to be off the pace. And it's going to be a lap traffic game here today. And, you know, more times than not, that's what we expect here at Talladega. So we'll have to see how that ends up shaking out. But we got ourselves Bryce Egan leading the field in number 9. Let's see what he does on the restart here in the Mountain Dew 500 at Talladega. We are back here at the Talladega Superspeedway, Talladega, Alabama. Mountain Dew 500 action here today. Do apologize that we have no scrolling ticker today. I had a skill issue and forgot to turn it on before the race, but I did not want to... I don't have another time to record this, so we're just going to go ahead and go with it. You guys will be fine with the OG way of us doing it. And I mean, look at that. Do you need to be reminded of that every 4 minutes? Jesse Turner out of the race. Blaine Keys out. Matt Black, excuse me. Matt Tuck is alongside me here, but he's going to crash out after seeing Daniel Paulus Jr. get retired as well. Drew Webb is out of the race. Our pole sitter, Laura Chung, Philip Torres, Eric Monaco, Dylan Matthews, LJ Semedo, Jared Martin, and Rogel Dorn. We have ourselves 28 drivers on the lead lap. Brad Stover is a lap down, but he is still out there on the racetrack. However, a decent amount of these guys do have some damage and may become a factor in terms of lap traffic as this race goes along. But for those guys, they're trying to salvage as many points as they can in terms of this championship. And with all those other guys out of the race and the possibility of another wreck maybe occurring at some point, they could actually have an opportunity at a decent finish. We'll just have to see if that ends up being the case. But Bryce Egan leads the field, still going for his first ever win in the Wawa Cup Series. Same goes for Matthew Hubert, almost got the win in Martinsville a month ago. Justin Zeidel's going for his second win, so is Christian Master. Master actually won the Valvoline 400 in 2023. Braden Perez, Roberto Crown Jr., Brian Webb, Trey Bartow, Chris Reynolds, and J.R. Rivelton, the top 10. And hey, here's last year's Talladega winner, Thomas Troxel, in 11th. Still got a lot of good drivers in the field. Both of your drivers, Nathan, still in the field. And you got your driver there, Matthew Huber, running second. So we'll see how this goes. We got ourselves 38 laps to go here at Talladega. Bryce Egan out front here in this Mountain Dew 500.
It'll be interesting. Egan has had some on and off pace this season. So we know, I mean, I think Trackhouse might have a good car here today. These Dracoan Racing cars look like they're working together well. We know that 43 is dialed in for this type of racing. Racing Motorsports builds rocket ships racetracks. And I mean, just taking a look there, those are two hair gels cars there in the 4 and the 82. I mean, Trey Bart is a veteran. But I will say, looking at this right now, those Racing Motorsports guys and Owen Miles have to be absolutely loving this. Aaron Abel's got 3 cars up here. And Owen Miles is 2 cars on the lead. So that works out pretty good for him. Nicholas Samadio already didn't hit anything in that accident.
I don't even think he got caught up in the accident. They just did not hit that setup today. Maybe it is something that what we saw with Eric Monaco yesterday in qualifying, where he's got just a bit of slight engine damage, and that thing's going to combust at some point. Some guys, they're kind of in packs, which kind of makes it a little unique, because when they're in packs like this, they're not too drastically off the pace, and Crampton's issues, there's something further wrong with that 98. The good news for Crampton is a lot of the guys who are right behind him in the points, like Tanner Parton's still out there, that's his teammate. They are essentially not going to have an opportunity at getting to him in the championship standings, but he keeps on losing points in this Wawa Cup Series, and he's got a good opportunity in making the chase, and I think he will make the chase, but you can't be losing the points, even in a place like this, and he's now a lap down on that 98 machine, still trying to figure out what might be wrong. J.R. Rivelton just led a lap in the 82 machine, and how about J.R. Rivelton? Only his second start of the season. His first start was the Daytona 500, and now he's got a good opportunity here today. But how about Racing Motorsports? And to your point, Matt, these guys show up at the Valvoline 400 every year. And right now they're 1-2 with Brian Webb and Leonard Kochmer out front. And Alex Amitali, Tanner Parton, Jack Haas is up here. Thomas Troxel, Andrew Miller. We still have an opportunity at getting our first 2-time winner this season with Haas and Troxel and Miller there on that inside lane. And we have an opportunity at another wreck. They're going to go 4 wide again. Justin Zeidel going to be split in there with Chris Reynolds and Leonard Kochmer, and they've got to be careful entering the corner. They tend to be able to get away with it in these smaller packs, and I think they will get away with it here, but the whole field has collectively held their breath right there in that moment as Sam Matali leads, and now Tanner Parton, who's also looking for his first ever win in the Wawa Cup Series, has had a great season. He's 4th in points, looks to take the race lead, and Troxel, what are you doing, man? He's not going to fully force it. Andrew Miller going to give him the space into the corner. These guys have to go 35 more laps, 34 when they cross the line. And we'll have to see if they can do it, because they didn't do a good job a few laps ago.
And to the point, they only lasted 6 or 7 laps before we jumped most of the field. So we still have plenty of time to go. We still have quite a few cars that have a shot in this lead pack, luckily. And it's going to be interesting on how everything will shake out. Got a 6-car pack back there, and I don't think lap traffic will really be a huge factor. Maybe the 78 might be off the pace a little bit. Maybe the 23, maybe those 6. But I don't think lap traffic is going to be a major issue. And, well, maybe this ends up being the day where Tanner opponent can get the first win for the 97 for that's racing. And we'll see. But right now he is being challenged right behind from a fellow Ford. We'll see if we see a manufacturer alliance here today with all the Fords, Chevys, and Toyotas. There's a lot of Fords up front, and there's Ford 1-2. Shout out to Rippleton though in that 82 leading lap, and still has a really good chance at stealing a win here today.
Yeah, and so does Chris Reynolds, a hot seat driver there on that 42 machine. That's a big deal to be in the hot seat to just make it into the race, and he is in this lead draft with an opportunity, and he's got his 2 teammates with him as well. Of course, their other teammate, of course, all 4 of the Racing Motorsports cars made it, by the way. Eric Monaco, of course, got violently turned around in that accident. Definitely a who's who of who's up front right here, no doubt about it. Justin Zeidel and Roberto Carano Jr. Dracoan Racing Enterprises has not had a good season at all with their 2 drivers. It has not been a good season for them, but they both have an opportunity. And this reminds me a little bit of a couple of years ago when we had, I think it was Full Frontal Motorsports, Rogel Doran and Daniel Paulus Jr. at the time. And they both led a lot of laps in that race in a season that they did not have a good run in, and Rogel ended up getting the race victory. That could be the case for the Dracoan guys here today with Roberto and Justin. J.R. Ribbleton looking very strong as well. You also got Trey Bartow in this pack, and Bartow, he's probably won here before. I can't fully remember. I think he has won a race here before at some point. But it would be cool to see Trey Bartow get this race victory. Of course, you always listen to Trey Bartow in the booth alongside Joe Rakowski in the Wawa Cup Series. Those guys do an excellent job, and I highly recommend checking that out. I know one of the guys alongside me really likes what's going on, and the other doesn't. I'm sorry, Matt. But, hey, long season over there, long season over here. And an opportunity, maybe the only opportunity for some of these guys to get a race victory here today, like J.R. Ribbleton, like Brian Webb, like Justin Zeidel. We'll have to see if that ends up being the case. And how about last week's winner? He's still in the mix as well. Andrew Miller trying to move his way through the field in that 86.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be a bit... I will say, there's a couple guys in this pack. We've talked to a lot of length the past few weeks about Matthew Huber's struggles. Jack Haas has kind of been on a very big downward trajectory the past few weeks, but you get a bunch of guys in front of you, and Thomas Troxel, you get a bunch of guys in front of you and points crash out, and then the opportunity presents itself. These guys are in the wild card hunt. You need to make up some ground on some of these guys who crashed out of today's race. So, there's definitely some chase opportunities still to be had here. It's not guaranteed. I know we have a lot of guys we don't normally see up front here, but it's not guaranteed that we're going to see a new winner here today. No.
Yeah, and that he may not get back around with that one. We'll see. Tanner Parton in the 97, right in the lead draft, blowing up. And that is something that we see quite a bit here at the Talladega Superspeedway. And, yeah, I remember we were talking just a couple nights ago, Nathan, about how this racetrack in particular has a lot of engine failures and of the sort. I know you had some issues in some of the races you were trying to record there, so it's something that we're going to see, and unfortunately it happened to Tanner Parton, who, of all the guys in this lead pack, was highest in the points by far. Of course, Bryce Egan's also 6th in points, and he's going to rebound very well, regardless of what happens. That split Christian Master off, Troxel, and Braden Perez from the pack, and now these guys are all over the place. They're about to run in the Brad Stover. Ooh, boy, yeah, that's a slow one right there. Now, here's the thing, and I know that there is a point of contention when it comes to the lap cars on these racetracks, but to Brad Stover's credit, we get another big wreck, and Tanner, apart from that example, that is another point, and he has every right to be out there to try to get as many points as he can, as it is a full season of points, and he's actually going to help his teammate here in this situation. Andrew Miller, Leonard Koshman on the outside lane. Justin's going to split him, and most of these guys will get around Brad Stover, and I think a majority of this pack is going to generally stay formed together right here. The Andrews Racing drivers, Sam Vitale and Master, are going to get stuck behind the 78. But that's the chess match that happens here at Talladega. When we get a big wreck like that, those lap cars become a factor in the race, and that's what makes this race very unique. We don't tend to see this in the Valvoline 400. We've never had a caution in the Valvoline 400 in the Wawa Cup Series, and we really don't see it that often in the Daytona 500 either. But here at Talladega, that's the way it is, and hence why I said we come here once a year. Here comes Trey Barger, Justin Zeidel. They're closing in on Duncan Ward, who is also trying to salvage points, and he's a guy who is way up there in the championship standings, so, you know, can't blame him for trying to get as much as he can. Going to hold that inside lane up, and now you got Andrew Miller, Matthew Hubert on the outside lane. Barger might try to split down, and they're going to split the 23 again, and Trey Barger's going to take the race lead away from Leonard Kochmer here. And this is going to be a very, very fascinating race as we move on to see who has an opportunity to win this thing once we get down to it here in 27 laps.
It's cool. I will say it's cool to see Bartow up here. You know, saw him have a good run at Rockingham where he always runs good.
Oh, and another one!
Oh,
and who was that? That was Chris Reynolds in the 42. That's a racing motorsports machine, and
get off the track, bro.
Yes. Oh, brother. That was a 783. That looked like a 9, but that was a 783.
Like
it doesn't
10.
really matter. That car is done, and that's another one from this lead pack that is not going to have an opportunity at winning here today. Tough break there for Chris Reynolds. Had a great run going for him in the hot seat. Justin Zeidel, now keep in mind, Justin was the runner-up in the Daytona 500. He's going for his second win in the Wawa Cup Series. His first came with Grattan Autosport, kind of before Grattan Autosport became the team that we know and love today. But I know you remember that run there of Justin in 2023. It was definitely an interesting one, and Justin's got an opportunity here to get one for Owen Miles. Andrew Miller's got an opportunity of going back-to-back in this 86 machine. He's done a great job keeping this thing in this lead draft right now. So many guys who would make a very interesting story. How about Roberto Crown Jr., still going for their first career win on the channel, and they almost had it last year. They're still on this thing. That would be a sweet win for them if they can get it done, and it could happen here today. But J.R. Ribbleton is looking pretty strong in this 82 there, and we'll have to see how well he can do as this race goes along.
Well, this is quickly turning into a survival race, almost like the 600, but with these motors that keep on exploding, it just keeps on separating the pack. Tough break for the 42, tough break for the 97. Both of those cars were looking very competitive here today, and had a really good shot at the race win, but we still have quite a few that have a shot at the race win, like Bryce Eaton, like Roberto Crown Jr., and heck, even in the middle, who's trying to go back-to-back and become the first two-timer. And we always talk about these super speedways and racing motorsports, but they still got a couple of cars with a shot. They still got the 41 up here of Leonard Kochmer, and it's going to be interesting on who ends up getting the win, and they also have the 43. So, honestly, I'm liking the racing motorsports cars to get another super speedway win at the moment, but we still have a long way to go. We're just now, I think, almost halfway in this one.
Well, your pick to win is still very much in this battle as well. So Sam Vitale's got an opportunity there with Andrews Racing. You know, a lot of teams that don't particularly have a lot of success and have not had a lot of success this season. Running up front here today, they get stuck behind Nathan Smith and Logan Williams. Brian Webb, Leonard Kochmer there are trying to get around him. Jack Haas as well in the 39. Justin Zeidel still in this, and so is Matthew Hubert. That's your guy there, man. Matthew Hubert, really the only GRT driver left in contention to win this race, and you know, he's got an opportunity of doing so here as this race moves along. We'll have to see if that ends up being the case for him. But Roberto Crown Jr. looks strong in that 81. So does Bryce Egan, Trey Bartow. J.R. Ribbleton in the 82. Christian Master running in the 5th position right now in that 69 machine. He's looking for his second Wawa Cup Series win. A guy who's been around since the very beginning on the channel. I know he'd love to get one done. And hey, Bartow's been around since the very beginning as well. So many stories that could definitely be very interesting as we get to the later part of this race. And how about Jack Haas? We really haven't talked about Jack too much in this race. great run for him, trying to rebound in the point standings, and even if he gets the win, that extra win's only going to help him because of the points that he's going to receive from the race. Of course, it is the top 2 drivers in points with wins outside the top 10. Not the top 2 drivers with the most amount of wins. So he's already got the win, so he's already in the wildcard battle. He just needs the points to be able to get to guys like Paulus and Nathan Smith, who are going to stay below the cut line after this one based off of what has gone on in this race. Bryce Egan now out front in the number 9. Trey Bartow, Christian Master, J.R. Ribbleton, Roberto Crown Jr., Brian Webb, Matthew Hubert, Justin Seidel. Thomas Troxels has a shot at getting this win and going back-to-back at Talladega. He is now in the 9th position. Sam Vitale and Leonard Kochmer, the 11 guys who are up front right now. Jack Haas and Andrew Miller behind them. They will close in on lap traffic again in this race. They may actually close in on Travis Crampton next in that 98, who has had his fair share of issues, trying to salvage as much as he can. He's 26th right now. And he's had a lot of races like that this season where he has salvaged a lot of points and has kept his points. He's now got 27 points going into this race. It's actually going to be a little bit more ahead of Laura Chung. With all those guys right behind him in the point standings have had issues here today. Bryce Egan's going to be the one that's going to benefit from this because he has an opportunity of winning this race here today and moving up, possibly even taking a second in the championship standings. Christian Master going to take the race lead here. Got 21 laps to go here in the Mountain Dew 500 at Talladega. Still a long ways left to go in this race, and any of these guys in this lead draft still have a great opportunity at getting, for some of them, their first career win in the Wawa Cup Series.
Yeah, there's a lot of drivers with first career win potential on the line here today. Couple guys to note here. Bryce Egan, who's been on a tail slide the past few weeks, comes into this race 6 in points, 17 above the cut line. He gets a win here today. That's kind of big. Trey Bartow comes into this race. He's 115 points off the point lead. However, he's only 32 points off of Nathan Smith for the second wild card. If he were to win, he would jump Andrew Miller. He would close in a huge amount on Nathan Smith, who's running off the pace. Thomas Troxel comes into the race. He is 24th in the points. He needs to have if he wants to make the chase at this point, unless he's going to go on a Drew Webb run, Thomas Troxel needs to win today. Same with Jack Haas, who's lost the draft here. And then, I mean, you got guys like Sam Vitale. This would be huge for him to push himself up that bubble. Matthew Huber, who comes into the race, 28th in points. No shot to the chase without wins. So, I mean, there are some, none of the title, I don't think any of the current heavyweights for the championship are still alive for this race win. But there are a lot of guys here who the outcome of this race could definitely have a huge impact on how their season goes and them getting into the chase.
I would make the argument, and this is a bit of a stretch, I would make an argument that at this point in the season, the driver who is still in contention for a win here today, who has the best opportunity at the championship, don't do that. Troxel and Brian Webb bouncing off each other. That was close. I didn't think they were going to wreck there, even though they went 4 wide. As I was about to say, I think the driver's actually got the best potential at a championship run of these guys at this point might be Sam Vitale. He has kept that 61 top 10 in points nearly the entire season up to this point, and he's going to keep a top 10 after today. And, this reminds me a lot of what Ludovic Charette did in this ride 2 years ago. And that inevitably led to her getting that Groton Autosport ride, which led to her getting the championship. And Sam Vitale is definitely a very good driver, as we have seen. And even though he doesn't quite have a top 5 yet, he may get his first top 5, looking to get a 5th top 10 on the season and move himself further up in the championship standings as we get into next week's race at Texas. I feel like once we get to next week's race, that is really the grind going forward towards the chase cutoff. We got 10 races left to go. Of course, Texas Motor Speedway in the game, mile-and-a-half racetrack. Blaine Keith is probably going to win that. He's been the only driver who has won at Texas in the Wawa Cup Series. Then we got Kansas the week after that. North Wilkesboro. That's a bit of a strategy race when it comes to tires, but we do still see those stronger drivers run up front at the short tracks. We got the Coke 600 the week after that. Nashville Superspeedway. Michigan. We got the Gateway midweek race as well. Montreal, Pocono, and Atlanta. It's going to be a very interesting stretch to the finish for the regular season, and a lot of those racetracks are intermediates, mile-and-a-half racetracks where we're going to see teams like Velocistar and Grattan, NS Racing, Pacific Racing, Evans Ross Racing run strong. these guys that we're seeing right here, no disrespect to any of these other teams that we got here, we have not seen strength out of those teams in those races, and an opportunity for them to find themselves in an opportunity to possibly get themselves in the chase here today. J.R. Ribbleton is an uncharted driver, though, and realistically, he's just going for it for the win. And I know Hairjill's loving this one, seeing that 82 up front, seeing the 4 up front as well. And any of these guys from Christian Master on up still have an opportunity of winning here today. Both Jack Haas and Andrew Miller have kind of fallen off now. They are 6 seconds off. And then you got Braden Perez, who just completely lost it there in that first exchange with lap traffic. He is down in the 14th position. You know, Ladovic's Red is still salvaging a decent run. So is Sam Idio. I mean, maybe not the best runs for Sam Idio here. Gutierrez there, Fitzwater with damage, but Fitzwater's still there as well. Kirsten Bell trying to lead these guys through. I think for guys like Kirsten and Gutierrez, I don't really know if they have any damage that's really keeping them back. But they get a caution. They might have an opportunity at it here. And Travis Crampton is a bit faster than these guys. They're going to close in on Brad Stover again. However, when was the last time we ran into Brad Stover? Because it might be the last time we run into him.
He was the first car.
Yeah, so
he was the first car.
And he actually got around Duncan Ward right there, so the fact that these guys are pulling off each other might make this a little less painful. Justin Zeidel out front, in the 3, Trey Bartow, Thomas Troxel. You know what? I'm going to say it now, I think, well, maybe not. He took the wrong line there. But he still has an opportunity. I think Troxel might actually have the best chance of winning this race. He could very well pull it off. He's not going to get a good run through this exchange. They're getting stuck behind the lap traffic. All those guys on the outside lane in the correct place at the moment. Justin Zeidel still holding on to the race lead. And we're going to have ourselves, when we cross the line next time, by 14 laps to go here in this Mountain Dew 500 at Talladega.
14 laps to go, and I am really liking what we are seeing with some of these drives up front out. With the 3 of Justin Zeidel, that's a big name that needs a win. Barlow, that would be... It's Trey Barlow. What else is there to really say? Bryce Eakin, and then J.R. Ribbleton in the 8-2. A uncharted driver trying to win here. And then the 43 of Racing Motorsports is still in the midst of Brian Webb. There's still some big names. But this entire series is full of big names, and it's getting down to crunch time. Crampton, please get out of the way. But it's getting down to crunch time.
Crampton may actually be up to speed. He just doesn't have any drafting help, and I think that's been what has hurt him right here. Fun fact, Trey Bartow is actually going for his 20th career win on the channel. So that would be a rather cool moment to join the 20-win club. He'd be the 10th driver to do so on the channel. He's got an opportunity of doing that. Troxel has already hit that mark, though, by the way, so he's been there.
Oh, speaking of Troxel, I think he has a problem, and he does.
He does. Is that tire? Oil leak.
No.
It is one thing after another with this team this year. I have no idea what is going on with those guys, and this is why, and I don't know how long he's going to be on the pit lane, but this is why if you're Duncan Ward sitting 5th in points, you're still out there trying to salvage as much as you can with what you got. And every point's going to matter, and Troxel, those guys, they're not going to be able to recover from this at this point, I don't think. That they are, of all the guys who have won races this season, outside of Eric Monaco, respectfully, who is an unsure driver, he is lowest in the points. And it has just been a free fall through the standings the past month and a half for those guys, and most of it is not of their own doing. And Troxel, is he out of the race? He's still dropping there. He's not being transponded anymore. So, oh no, he is back out there. So I take that back. He is going to go a lap down though, and we're going to have to see what he ends up salvaging. But I tell you what, you said it earlier, Nathan. This is a game of survival at this point. That is exactly what it is. And it is anyone's race of these guys who are still left, but there aren't many of them. But a huge opportunity for guys like Zeidel, Brian Webb, Christian Master, Roberto Crown Jr. This may be the only opportunity they get to win a race this year based on what we've seen. And they all have a very good opportunity at doing so here in 11 laps.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Racing Motorsports guys, when we go to Daytona in the late summer for the Valvoline 400, we will definitely see them up front again. But some of these Zeidel and Roberto Crown, again, no disrespect, these Dracoan cars just haven't had the pace this year to indicate that they're going to get another shot. They're coming up on lap traffic here. Zeidel has been you got to tip your cap to Zidell, the veteran, just smooth with this lap traffic here. Keep your eye on this 4 car and the 43 car. I've been watching Bartow through traffic. He doesn't lose the draft as much as some of these other guys do. And I mean, the 43 is the Racing Motorsports car. We know the threat that they present here, but Crown's going to get to the inside of the lappers, gets to the inside of the 95 of Williams. These guys are running out of time. Zidell has to be careful now, though, because he's going to be a sitting duck when these guys get by around Avery Alford.
We got Roberto Crown Jr. there. Getting the push there from Trey Bartow. It's a 1-2 run right now for Dracoan Racing Enterprises. 10 laps to go for Justin Zidell in the number 3. We'll have to see if he can hold on to this one here. Bernardo de Oliveira, Bruno Diacomo ahead of them. And they're also, well, they're not going to close up to those guys. They're still going to be a bit too fast for these guys to catch up before the end of the race. And here comes Roberto. Here comes Trey Bartow. And Matthew Hubert still's got a great shot at this one. It's been a great race for Matthew Hubert, who almost got his first win in the Wawa Cup Series a month ago at Martinsville. I mean, almost got it. One more lap and he would have gotten it. He's got an opportunity here today. Though I know you want to see Matthew Hubert get a win at an intermediate track and really go out there and earn it. But whoever wins this race today is going to earn it. It's a totally different type of race here at Talladega than a lot of the other racetracks we go to. And maneuvering around the lap traffic, making sure you're in position, is a part of getting that race victory. And these guys who are still up here fighting for this win have done that here today. J.R. Ribbleton going to lead lap 38. We got ourselves 9 laps to go here at Talladega.
And 9 laps to go is not a lot of time at Talladega, and it's going to be interesting on who ends up getting the job done. I will say that, unfortunately, I think Crampton does have the speed, but he is a lap or 2 laps down now, so it is what it is. But I didn't think it was going to be this much of a survival race, like I said at the start. Unfortunately, my pit out San Vitale has finally lost the draft. It's still going to be a good day. Might be able to get a top 10 still and continue that speed, but not going to be the race win for him. And how about Christian Master, the guy I almost picked to win this one? He's in second and might have a shot to win.
You tried picking him twice and just couldn't say it, so you went with Sam Vitale, but he may be Sam Vitale's teammate here today. And Christian Master, keep in mind, drove for Racing Motorsports 2 years ago and won the Valvoline 400, so this is a guy who knows how to do it on the Superspeedway. And I think he's going to have a good opportunity at it. We got De Oliveira and Diacomo ahead of these guys. And we'll have to see. Oh no! Something happened to Master! And the 69's got a problem, and that's a tire going down on Christian Master.
Oh my goodness.
And that completely jammed up the entire field, and now Sam Vitale and Leonard Kochmer, they're going to be able to close in here. And Master's not going to be able to get back around with that one. We may get a caution with this one. If he decides to park it. Still green flag here at Talladega. Roberto Crown Jr., the race leader, he will get back around. Man, this has just been one of those races now, hasn't it?
I said I was almost going to pick him. Well, I jinxed him by just saying that. I'm so sorry, Master. And now
I jinxed him too. Just ask Andrew Williams. I'm very bad at that.
And now we just have, what, maybe 4, 5 cars left with a shot?
You might as well have 2. I don't think anybody, there's nobody in front of Roberto Crown Jr. and Brian Webb. So this is, unless there's a caution, it is a battle of, correct me if I'm wrong, Brian Webb's never won a points-paying race, has he?
No, as far as I know, he has not. Of course, he did win the Meliola Smooth Fest earlier this year. But Brian Webb, we'll see here. I do not believe he has ever won in the Wawa Cup Series in a points-paying race. He's got a good opportunity at doing so here today. And he actually had a pretty solid run in Rockingham, if I'm not mistaken. I think he was up front in that race. Correct me if I'm wrong about that, Matt. But, you know, he's not been... He's 26th in points. You know, he's just kind of been there. He's been the better driver in Racing Motorsports this season. It has not been a good season for those guys at Racing Motorsports, unfortunately. But good opportunity for Brian Webb here tonight, looking to get his first ever Wawa Cup Series points-paying race victory after winning the Smooth Fest earlier this year. 5 laps to go here at Talladega, And it is going to be, unless we get a caution, well, even if we do, we're kind of closing in on the point of no return. We'll still be able to restart if we got a caution on this lap, but I don't think that's going to happen. Brian Webb and Roberto Crown Jr. now have a 3-second lead on the field, and they can thank Christian Master having that tire issue, splitting that pack up. It's going to be one of these two guys, and this is an interesting scenario for Roberto Crown Jr. I know they do not want to finish second again here. They want their first career win on the channel. But when do you make the move? Do you want to be second coming to the finish line for the race? Because it's pretty easy to make that pass if you got someone alongside you. Bruno Giacomo, keep in mind, is a lap down and could have an effect on who gets this race victory. It's going to be now 4 laps to go across the line here in this Mountain Dew 500 at Talladega.
That pack's not closing. I mean, it doesn't really matter at this point. The only way that second pack could catch up to these guys, they're kind of organized. There's some organization that's going on. I don't know if they have enough time to catch. I know it's a big track, but that's a lot of distance to make up real quick. And these 3 cars, Giacomo looks like he's at least moving at a decent clip. We'll see the time and scoring next time by. So, I mean, it's hold your breath hour here for Roberto Crown Jr. looking for their first career win. Also, Brian Webb looking to get Racing Motorsports back to victory lane. It looks like, my eyes tell me they're pulling away from this pack here. Just a wild race here, but we're about to find out. If Sam Vitale's brought that, if Sam Vitale and Ribbleton have brought that gap down.
Nope. So it's going to be one of these two guys who wins this Mountain Dew 500. And if I'm not mistaken, I think it was the 2019 Cup race that we had here when John Andrews won. It was very similar to this, where it just split up throughout the entire pack, and really was just a couple of guys at the end of the race. That's how John Andrews got the race victory on that day. Brian Webb wants to get the race victory on this day. Oh, Roberto Crown Jr. going to try to use Fitzwater as a pick right here. This may work out in Crown's favor for the time being. Fitzwater a little bit off the pace. And Crown now has nowhere to go as Brian Webb's going to shoot back down to the inside of the 99. Brian Webb has 2 laps to go now in the 43 machine. Roberto Crown Jr. going to try to get back on that inside lane. We'll see if they can pull this one off. 2 to go here at Talladega. They closed in quite a bit that time around, though they did get held up by the 99 in that exchange. Bruno Giacomo in the 24 trying to get his lap back. Not that that really means much, but he's still going to get a decent finish today. Currently running 17th. Now more lap traffic. Duncan Ward and Brad Stover again. Brian Webb to the inside of Duncan Ward. He's going to make this one easy on both of those guys. Or he didn't get a run on Stover. That's going to jam these guys back up again. And we're coming to the white flag here in the Mountain Dew 500 at Talladega. That actually may give Bartow and Zidell and those guys an opportunity. Both Brian Webb and Roberto Crown Jr. move back down to the inside. And it's going to be the white flag here at the Talladega Superspeedway. And here comes Bartow and Zidell. They've got to get around these guys if they're going to have any chance at it. But they're going to have a chance at it. And Roberto's going to have a chance at it to the inside of Brian Webb for the race lead on the final lap of the race. And Roberto's got to hope that Giacomo closes in right here. Zidell is closed in. J.R. Ribbleton, Trey Bartow trying to get around the lap cars. Roberto Crown Jr. is out front at the moment, but Brian Webb is right behind them. Will the 81 be able to hold off Brian Webb, or will Brian Webb also get his first win of the season? He's trying to get to the inside. He's got a nose to the inside of Roberto Crown Jr. And Brian Webb for Racing Motorsports is going to go to the inside, and that might win him the race. Brian Webb won the Mellow Yellow Smooth Fest to open up the season. This is the Mountain Dew 500, and the Mountain Dew car is going to go to victory lane here today at Talladega. Brian Webb wins a wacky race here in the Wawa Cup Series.
Yeah, 2 passes on the last lap for the lead. How about that?
Racing Motorsports and Superspeedways. Need I say more?
Why am I not?
They just got that dog in them when it comes to these racetracks. Let's just put it that way.
I mean, no disrespect to them. I mean, if you take out Blaine Keys driving the 41 last year, they've always kind of been a mid-pack team on a lot of these other tracks. They have certain drivers. Aaron has a good eye for getting drivers in these cars. And Brian's definitely he's got some talent. But their ability on these super speedways, it's
a double top 10 for him as well. So
GG's.
Now, something funny. This is not the first time this happened where a Mountain Dew sponsored car has won this race. Nicholas Sambadia, when he drove for Zidell Motorsports all those years in the Chick-fil-A Cup Series, did win this race in the Mountain Dew car at least once. So how fitting is it that ends up happening? It's Nicholas Sambadia also won the Brandt 400 last year in the Brandt car at North Wilkesboro. So it's not the first time it's happened in the Wawa Cup Series either. Of all the races, that was one of them. But an opportunity for a lot of these guys who we have not seen run up front this season, like Brian Webb, like Justin Zidell, like Roberto Crown Jr. I was rooting for Roberto to win that race. They have come so close, especially here, getting that first win, and they made the move just a bit too early. And that allowed Brian Webb to get right back to the inside. And, Racing Motorsports, they just know how to do it. In terms of the overall point standings here, Andrew Miller is actually going to move his way up in the standings based off of where he finished. And that is a great run for Andrew, who is trying to get into that wild card position. But then what happened earlier, what happened 45 minutes ago, I mean, we still have to review what happened, but yeah, we want to pretend that didn't happen. Daniel Paulus Jr., Drew Webb, Laura Chung, those are kind of the big names that got caught up. Blaine Keys as well, who got knocked out of that one. But then Avery Alford had an issue. Chris Reynolds had an issue. Tanner Parton had an issue. Christian Master had a tire go down. Thomas Troxel had an oil leak. All of those guys had problems who were in the lead draft at some point. Not Avery Alford, but the other four guys that were all in the lead draft at some point had an opportunity of winning this race. And so many guys had so many mechanical issues throughout this event. I tell you, Talladega is one of the tracks of all time, and hence why we only come here once per year. But guys, thoughts on this one, and Brian Webb getting it done for his first official Wawa Cup Series win in a points-paying race here in the Wawa Cup Series. He finally gets one there, and he gets it here at Talladega for Racing Motorsports.
Well, I'm not surprised with how that race ended up being. It's a shame that we had a wreck fairly early on, because it was shaping up to be very interesting with the whole field, but that's just the way that Talladega goes sometimes. Great one from a lot of drivers that needed it, and a great win from Brian Webb and Racing Motorsports. I'm not surprised that they ended up getting the win here today. Like Matt said, they have something figured out on the Superspeedway side. I wish I knew, because they clearly have something. They are the team to beat on these Superspeedways, and even though we saw a lot of issues, we still had a couple of passes late with two cars, and we saw two lead trains on the final lap, so that was interesting. Crampton still gets a top 22 after all the wets and all of the issues that we've had, and that's why all those cars that were multiple laps down stayed out, because we had so many issues, have problems, or so many people have problems, and they kept on getting 1 or 2 extra points. So that's all it comes down to it. That was a race for sure, but a great win from Brian Webb and Racing Motorsports, once again winning on a super speedway in the Wawa Cup Series.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. This track will always. This track, I don't think, will ever not leave me speechless for sometimes the right reasons, more so the wrong reasons. But I mean, you got to tip your cap to Racing Motorsports. Like I said, I don't think even had that wreck not happened, I genuinely believe that Brian Webb was a guy who, he could have won this race even had that wreck not happened. That's just the kind of team that Racing Motorsports builds here on these speedways. Trey Bartow, back-to-back weeks, looking really strong in the 4. That's a good sign for him, and he's going to start to move up to chase down Paulus and Smith in the wild card hunt. But then, I mean, Sam Adia got to tip your cap to at least salvaging something out of that. Same with Ladovic, Braden. And there's just so many things you could go down, though, on some of those guys who just, their days did not go the way they were planned. And that championship fight, that cut bubble's going to get really funky after tonight's race.
Mm-hmm. It's going to be interesting. The race to the chase is on, starting next week at Texas Motor Speedway, and it's going to be interesting. Let's just put it that way. Well, thank you all for watching and putting up with this race, and, you know, we just let it be what it is. That's how we expect Talladega to be, regardless of the series. Brian Webb is happy with the result here today. His first official points-paying win, and technically the first driver to win 2 races this season in the Wawa Cup Series, though the Smooth Fest does not count as a points-paying win, so we're 12 for 12. That's quite a bit right there. Will we go 13 for 13 next week? We'll have to see. But
No.
Lane Keys could very well win that race, and he's yet to go to victory lane. I'm just saying.
I'm
Good
just
opportunity.
saying.
Ladovic Scharat's yet to win a race this year. Matthew Hubert's yet to win a race this year. There are guys who can definitely win their race next week who have not gone to victory lane yet this season. We'll just have to see how it goes down. It's going to be fun next week from Texas, and it's going to be a much more entertaining race, I feel like. And we're going to be back to our old ways here in the Wawa Cup Series for the Interstate Batteries 400 next Saturday at noon Eastern Time right here on AG, the channel. Thank you so much for watching. Congratulations to Brian Webb on his race victory here at the Mountain Dew 500, and here are the points for the Wawa Cup Series after 12 races. On behalf of Matt Tuck and Nathan Stapleton, I will see you guys later.